Thank you very much, Nigel. Now allow me to introduce you to a number of our key candidates in this election who will be fighting right across the country, including some who I believe, or we believe, will give the other party leaders some sleepless nights. Firstly, allow me to introduce you to a man who had one of the biggest Tory majorities in the country before he stood down. He's standing on principle. He's standing in Ludlow. Allow me to introduce you to Christopher Gill. Please, Chris, stand up. Thank you.
I'm standing to give my constituents the choice between servitude in the European Union or freedom and democracy with the United Kingdom Independence Party.
Thank you, Chris. Allow me to introduce you to a man, a boxing promoter who's been fighting all his life, and he's fighting for UKIP embarking. It's Frank Maloney. Okay, thank you, Frank.
I would just like to say that I'm fighting on a straight talking ticket embarking. I mean, if that's an inner city of London, I'm ashamed to say that I'm in London. You've only just got to walk around Barking, see unemployment there, the housing of the people there, and the fight between Lady Hodge and Nick Griffiths. It's personal battle they're doing. They're not interested in the local people or the local community.
Next, allow me to introduce you to our candidate in the all-lady contest in Westminster North. It is Jasna Badzek. Thank you, Jasmine.
I'm fighting for the people of Westminster North against both Labour MP and the Westminster Conservative Control Council. We have gangs in Westminster North. This is how bad it is. And only UKIP can sort out the problems that we have there.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. Now allow me to introduce you to one of the party's young and up-and-coming starlets. He's 22 and he's standing in Horsham. It's Harry Aldridge. Harry. Thank you, Harry. And now finally, our surprise candidate. So move over, Sam Cam, move over, Sarah. Standing in Kensington for UKIP is Caroline, Lady Pearson of Rannoch. Caroline. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to open this up to the floor for any questions. Yes, please, Andrew.
After the expenses scandal, in what way could your party represent a fresh start? I mean, one of your MEPs has claimed £2 million in expenses and employs his wife. That would be Nigel Farage. Another of your MEPs has been jailed for benefit fraud, described by the judge as, quote, a truly dishonest man. And a third MEP was said by the judge to have set out to defraud Parliament from day one. He's now doing 2 years in the slammer as well. Not exactly whiter than white, is it?
I think this is Nigel.
Yeah, I think it probably is aimed at me, that one. 2 million in
How did you
expenses.
guess?
2 million in expenses. This is a story that's been put about after a conversation I had with Dennis McShane.
You said it.
Interesting that Dennis McShane should say that, given his own difficulties. I haven't had 2 million in expenses. What I have had is £2 million since 1999 to employ staff, and absolutely none of that sum of money has come to me. So let's clear that up to begin with.
What about your wife?
I've employed my wife since 2007. She worked for me unpaid for the first 8 years. And since 2007, the burden of work was intolerable without some sensible help at home. I don't feel guilty about that. Incidentally, I haven't bought a second house in Brussels. I rent. I've avoided all of those things, and my expenses are lower than almost every other British MEP because I'm not in Brussels 5 days a week signing on for the daily allowance. As far as the bad apples are concerned, yes, we have had some bad apples in UKIP, but I would put it to you that in every walk of life, in every company, goodness me, often in families, you find a bad apple. The question is, how do you deal with it? And that problem occurred during the time that I was leader of the party, and I dealt with it absolutely ruthlessly, no questions asked. I kicked the bloke out of the party. And yes, these things can happen, but I'd put this to you. If you look at our 550 candidates and look at their backgrounds, we are not careerists in UKIP. We've got members of this party, we've got dukes, we've got dustmen, we've got consultant surgeons standing for us, we've got local school teachers standing for us, we've got ex-army officers standing for us, we've got a cross-section of people standing for us. They're all putting their hands in their own pockets, paying for their own deposits, paying for their own election addresses, and they're doing it because they actually believe in something. They believe that the best people to govern Britain are the British people themselves. There is less chance of UKIP people going rotten than there is those amongst the established mainstream who go from university straight into a research office and their only possible means of income is politics.
Next question. Yes, madam.
Alison Little's Daily Express. I know you say that a Conservative victory would be disastrous for Britain because they won't have this referendum, but if UKIP were to take enough votes to deny the Conservatives a majority and we ended up with another 5 years of a Labour government or a coalition between Labour and a very Europe-loving Lib Dem party, would you feel at all guilty, apologetic to the British people?
No, it's the only thing we can aim for. David Cameron has ruled out any form of referendum for 5 years. Now that means 5 more years of integration into a European Union, which now has the Treaty of Lisbon. It has its own legal personality and supported by the court. It can now do almost anything it wants. So already the confidence that it has is being shown. We can see what's happening to the City of London with the hedge fund directive, and as Nigel has mentioned, the whole of our financial supervision has now passed to Brussels. You can look at the Justice and Home Affairs, where they're already pushing forward the prosecutor. Cameron and co says we will resist the prosecutor, but we won't resist the prosecutor because they can use the arrest warrant to extract people to rot in a foreign jail for 2 years, as they're doing at the moment, as the Foreign Office said to me. And on any front you care to look, the Foreign Service, I can't believe we'll have a British embassy left in 12 years if we go on down this route of ever closer integration into this corrupt octopus in Brussels. We won't just have its tentacles around every area of our life as we do at the moment. We will be in its bowel. And that is why I say we cannot afford a Cameron government with a working majority. Okay, so it's a hung parliament. It's a period of confusion. I cannot believe the British people, whom I trust, will return a Labour government. It simply doesn't appear to me to be possible. If they do, then they will get the government they deserve, but I don't believe it. What we will have is a hung parliament, which probably won't last very long, and then we will be in a position to insist that at the next general election that none of the failed old parties can form a government unless they promise the referendum, which they promised but which we've been denied. And above all, the prize for us is to get the whole system of binding national and local referendums, which on the Swiss model, which is the only way that the British people are going to reconnect with the power which has been taken from them by their political class over the last 50 years. So, yep, I never thought I'd say it, but roll on a hung parliament, because at least down that route lies hope. Down any other route lies the end of this country as we've known it.
Nigel? Can I just make a point about Cameron's position on the European question? You know, we know that Labour and the Lib Dems are utterly committed to the project and vote for everything. So we sort of kind of think, well, somehow maybe Cameron's going to provide resistance, and some of the newspapers say that he's very Eurosceptic and he's made himself unpopular with